Hello, my name is Leslie Kane, and I am the host of the Why Not Today podcast. This is a podcast to celebrate people who have been courageous and said, why not today? I started this podcast in honor of my father, Patrick Kane, who often did say, why not today? I am based in Reston, Virginia, planned community right outside of Washington, D.C., and thanks for joining us. So my guest today is, and I love that you have Singagram as your name, but Andrea Plunkett. Is that right? Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
And I always love to say where we met. And Andrea and I met at a networking luncheon. And it was in Lynchburg, and it was very inconvenient for me to go, but I went. And it was one of those things, I don't know about you in your life, is those things that just aren't easy, have the biggest blessings in it sometime. And so I met her. We had a long conversation when I was driving one day, just fell in love with all of everything you do, and been following you on Facebook. And we met for lunch one day in between.
Yes.
And just, I wish we lived closer, because we'd actually it'd probably be dangerous if we lived closer, because we'd be in lots of trouble together. So, but Andrea is here as our guest, and she's got lots of good courage stories. But one of the things that wanted you to talk about today, and we're going to bring up, is this month of why not today month is why not today be intentional. And we've been talking about the one word and bucket lists. And I know you are big into vision boards and doing some vision board trainings, which again, I wish I was closer, because I would have come. But we're going to talk about courage and then talk about that. So why don't you introduce yourself, quick facts, just who you be, and then a fun fact about you. And then we will talk about courage.
Okay. I am a mother of three. So I have a 23-year-old, 19 and 12-year-old. And that is chaos in itself.
Yeah.
When you've got adult children. So that's a whole new world. I am a wife. This is my second time around in marriage, and it is beautiful and amazing and grateful. And I just stepped out right before the first of the year in a new position as a Visioneer coach. So I'm helping people. Thank you. I'm helping people find their vision, helping them to dream again, helping them, and then what that looks like and how I can help them to be seen and heard in a very noisy, busy world.
You know, it's interesting. God, just the people he puts in my path and the connections. And somebody I interviewed yesterday that's going to be on the podcast in February, she just wrote a book, says, I see you.
Oh, that's awesome.
And just that I am seen, it keeps coming up over and over and over again. So yeah, I love that. So we're going to have to talk about a little bit more about offline about what you're doing with the coaching, because I love it.
Yes.
And you do a million other things, including sing and
yes.
kind of like me, a million hats.
Yeah.
And
I
you're
do
very
singing
sparkly.
telegrams and singing telegrams, love to perform and sing. And that's definitely my heart passion.
Yeah. And if you're not watching on YouTube, but just listening, she's got fun, sparkly glasses, and you're always sparkling something going on.
Yes. Bling is fun.
Yes. So I met somebody yesterday, and she introduced herself. She works for a financial company and in the HR department, but she introduced herself as she's the magic and sparkle girl in the company.
Wow.
I love that job.
Yes.
Can't wait to connect.
Yes. Yes.
So what does courage mean to you?
Courage means to me, dreaming again, like stepping out and really, being intentional about your dreams and things that you want to do. I believe that's courageous.
Love that. Yes, we definitely need to dream.
Yes.
All right. So you've got a lot of courage in your life and a lot of change, and we want to tie that into the vision board. So kind of give us a little bit of your courage journey and how that tied into vision boards. And then let's talk about how we can encourage other people to do a vision board.
Yes. So I missed my fun fact, which has to do with courage.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I was like, I can tie this in. So I was 26 before I got my driver's license.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was terrified of driving. I was had just no desire at all to do driving when all the teenagers were. And so my daughter was 6 months old. My oldest was 6 months old before I actually got behind a wheel and got my driver's license. And it was fear. I was so afraid, and all the things that I thought could happen or might happen if I didn't pass the test, what would that look like? And just all these things. And so that was a really big step for me, was to be courageous and to do it. And if I didn't pass, I'd go take it again. I could do that. So
Right.
that was really exciting. And it gave me courage. It gave me the first step out of a very abusive marriage, and a place that I was in for 20 years, and getting that freedom to be able to drive and have my own vehicle changed my life. And it started that journey of just
I'm
being able to
sure.
realize I can do things on my own, and what that looked like. So, yes.
Wow. I couldn't imagine. The minute I turned 16, my mother took me to get my driver's license because I was the oldest of, at that point, 4.5 kids. The fifth was on the way.
Wow.
Like, go. But yeah, the freedom it gives you to be able to drive and do those things.
Yeah, it did. It made me realize I can do these hard things. And so as I went on and started to really just find that courage, and I was 20 years in a domestic abusive marriage, and I wasn't dreaming. I had really given up on just really thinking about myself anymore, and 3 kids, and finally decided that I had to figure out who I was and find my value and my worth, and that I was worth dreaming for. I was worth fighting for. And so that began my, step out. And I actually started a vision board. That was one of the first things I did when I left and started on my new life. I got a vision board, and I started putting things on there that I wanted to dream about. And there's a verse in Proverbs, and it says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. But a dream, I can't remember the rest of it, but it says, how being a dream fulfilled is, beyond measure, or something like that. But the hope deferred was where I was. My heart was sick. I was really struggling with that. And so to find hope again, and to be able to look forward, and to be able to dream about things. And so one of my dreams, which hasn't come true yet, one of my things on my vision board is going to Australia.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and that's a big one. But I want to take steps every year towards that. And so here I am starting over. I don't even have, new towels to my name anymore, sheets, anything. I'm starting completely over. And I had to do something. So I went to the post office and got a passport application. It was free. I could do that. That didn't
Right.
cost me any money, but it gave me another step towards that, dream of doing Australia. And so since then, I've gotten travel books, and I even put a map of Australia on my wall for a while. So just these different things. I've tried different Australian foods, ordered them off of Amazon. You can get anything off Amazon.
Right.
Things like that just give me again, just keeping that direction towards it. So that's what I love about vision boards and about teaching these workshops, is that you're really able to help people to think way outside of their comfort zone.
Right.
Things that they may have forgotten about, dreams that they had forgotten about. And just having those things to be able to put them on a board and look at them when things are hard, when you have really bad days, and you're able to just look at that board and say, okay, that's where I'm going. This is going to be okay. That's what I want to do. That's where, and what that looks like, and helping people walk that out,
Yeah.
is really important.
Well, I want to talk about the steps to that, but a couple things that you mentioned that, writing it down, and if you're visual, being able to see it. But I had somebody on the podcast a couple weeks ago that she did her dad's bucket list.
Wow.
Which is fun. And I have a journal, it's a bucket list, which I need to pull out because I haven't looked at it in a while. But I know years ago, my biggest wanted to do was go to Hawaii. And
Wow.
I wrote it down one year. I'm like, I'm going to do this. Well, at my job I got to go to Alaska and Hawaii the same summer.
Wow.
And actually and I was talking to a friend the other day about intentions and manifesting, and not just what you want,
Yes.
that you want to go, but you want to go like all out. Or I've been able to go to Hawaii 3 times, basically.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I had to get there and spending money, but everything else was covered. And
That's
so it's
incredible.
that manifestation of it. And I think where we are right now in 2024, I think the last few years, and I know for me, we've been in survival mode. Like,
Yes.
just get me through the day, get me through the week. I was with somebody yesterday, and she was reliving that she ran events, and every Monday she was on listening to the governor to hear what the restrictions were, what you couldn't do. And so
Oh,
you've been
wow.
on survival mode, and we stopped dreaming. And
Yes.
to be able to dream again. And I know I've done vision boards and I have one, but it's just, I'm a words girl. Words
Mm-hmm.
speak to me. So it's just really words, but it's not specific. So I just made a note that I need to get serious about a vision board and put the things I really want, because they do manifest when you do it.
Yes, yes. And words are important. They are so important. My whole house is full of words. Because words were so detrimental to me for 20 years, that I was determined to make sure words were positive, and that they were things that I could look forward to and
Right.
be able to hold on to. So we definitely put words on our vision boards, but sometimes it's good to get specific. It's good to be able to look at your personal, your finance, your work, your family, your health and wellness, and be able to put those things. Some of our people, we just did a workshop, and some of them actually split their boards up. So they had each different category. And then others, yeah, and others did a collage. And sometimes you may look at someone's board and it may not make sense to you, because it's one of the ladies isn't married, and she's put on her vision board that she wants a husband, but instead of putting, I want a husband, she put a picture of a couple looking at a sunset. And that to her was, what she wants her future to look like. And so sometimes it can be very specific for yourself, but not necessarily everybody has to know, the intimate details of exactly, what you're
Right.
wanting.
And it's definitely for us. And I always caution people, be careful what you put. I had somebody one time, she wanted a husband. So she put a picture of this was years ago, the Marlboro Man with a
Yes.
cigarette. Well, she didn't want a man that smoked, but that's what she got.
Right.
So be careful.
Right. Be
So,
careful what you wish for.
so you are doing workshops in Lynchburg, Virginia. So if anybody's
Yes.
still not too late, I think you have a couple next week.
Yes.
People can attend. I think you should do a virtual one too. But
Yes. Yes.
so if I want to do one at home, what do I need to get together? What are the steps I need to do? How do I start dreaming? How do I start creating my vision board?
So, if you wanted, I definitely want to do one virtually. I think that's exciting. Would be great to do. I think if you want to start one, it's just getting, I suggest foam board instead of cardboard, because cardboard's flimsy. Sometimes it can, won't hold up to what you're putting on it. So get a piece of foam board. It doesn't have to be the gigantic 16 by 20s that we use. I even had people in the class cut theirs in half or cut theirs into a space that worked. But I wanted to give everybody enough space if they wanted to
Right.
fill it. So, but get a piece of foam board. You can get that at the Dollar Tree. It's super easy. Most of the stuff you could get, super cheap. Scissors, some glue. I like the glue that's purple that then goes to clear, because that way I know where I put my glue. And some magazines. Get some magazines, some books, some things that really interest you, and start cutting them out and start putting them on that board. I know it sounds like, oh, we're doing elementary school, projects, but we all need some creativity and
Oh,
some,
absolutely.
yeah. And we all loved art class. We have to say we all loved art class. And so it's fun to get into that and to be able to do it. Rip it out of a page, out of a book if you want to. If you see something online that you like, a quote or a picture, print that out on your printer and go ahead and put that on there as well. And it doesn't have to be something that has to be completed in one day. It can be something you work on even throughout the year, as you go on and realize this is what I want. But what it does is it starts this intention of dreaming. It starts this intention of looking forward and thinking, what do I want to do? And it's not selfish. I mean, I think sometimes we get to that place where we think, oh, this is selfish to think about, myself and what I want. And especially people who are people pleasers, we want to make everybody else happy. But sometimes we have to stop and go, wait, do I like chocolate brownies because I like them, or because, everybody in my family does, so that's what I make?
Well, isn't it, what is that movie with Julia Roberts that, she was engaged so many times?
Oh, yes, the marriage, weddings, I think, or
What's it
yes.
called? Yeah. But, finally Richard Gere asked, like, how do you like your eggs? Like,
Right.
every man she was with, she liked the eggs that they liked because she wasn't
Yes.
her own person.
Yes, yes, yeah. It's crazy how we can lose ourselves in life. And like you said, because since COVID, we've all been surviving and we've all been trying to figure, how to just keep our head above water, and how to keep our jobs, or how to make it every time we go to the grocery store and things are 3 times as much as they were. And so to stop and say, even if it's something as simple as, I've never had caviar and I want to try caviar, to stop and put that on your vision board. To others, maybe that's kind of crazy, but to you, that matters, that's important. And those kind of things are life changing, because they say, okay, I matter, and this, I can do this, and because I can do this, I can do something else. It's just a step to the next step.
And I love your Australia example in the steps. Like, it's the little steps. And, sometimes you can't do all of it, but, what can you do to love on you? And maybe it's drinking out of, we have those fancy things in our house that we don't use, only for guests. And I had some glasses that I won from Mary Kay. They were etched really pretty and they're way up high. And I just kept them away for if somebody came, and I'm finally like, well, that's silly. Like,
Yes.
And I had a collection of crappy, plastic, messy, dirty, cracked. And I'm like, get rid of those and put the good ones out, because, we deserve those things.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. There's a song that I sing, and it's talking about how you live. And it says, wear the red dress, use the good dishes, make a big mess, and make lots of wishes. And,
I love that.
yes. And that's part of, we want to live, because, when you get to the end of your life, the thing that people say the most is, I wish I had done this. I held back too long. I should have gone and done that. I should have done this. We're not saying, oh, we should have spent more time, in front of the computer and making money or working. It's mostly, those things that we wanted to do. I know, as a mom and with kids, sometimes trying to get that family photo is chaotic, and you think, I want this perfect family photo. Just take the photo, just take the photo, just enjoy the time. Your kids need that, and they need to see that you dream too. I think sometimes, as a parent, I think sometimes, even my parents, I want them to dream. I want them to have goals, because for me, that inspires me to say, even in my 60s, I can still, dream. I can still do, and to see them do that inspires me to keep going on.
Absolutely. And, one of the things you talked about, regrets, which I often quote Daniel Pink, who's written several books, and he is, one day he will be on this podcast. He lives local to me, but I haven't connected with him. But one day I'm going to keep saying, I need to put a picture of him on my vision board.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
There you go. But in his book, it talks about regrets. And I read the book like right when I started this podcast, so I quote it often. But he talks about people rarely regret the things that they did. We regret the things we didn't do.
Yes.
And one of the biggest regrets of people in the United States is not traveling abroad in school. but living our life. And that's the whole theme of this podcast. Why not today? Just do the things that it doesn't have to be big. And sometimes it's just, it's with dreaming again, taking the time to drink out of that fancy glass.
Yes.
Joy and be present with the people, and talking about pictures and not the perfect pictures.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for pictures I have of people that have not in my life anymore, that have passed away. And we have a picture with my dad before he passed away, and my nieces and nephews. This was after Christmas before he passed away. My nieces and nephews were in town, and we live in DC area, and a big Redskin fan. The Redskins were in a game or something. It was playoffs, which, surprise, surprise, that was a while ago. That's a whole nother topic. But I remember trying to get everybody together, and it was like, okay, after the game's over, we'll go over to mom and dad's, we'll get a picture, let's get a group picture. And it was not pretty, and nobody was dressed fancy. We had
Right.
Redskin gear on, but we had that picture. And that was the last time my nieces and nephews saw him, and the last time we were together.
Wow.
And I look at that often like, okay, it's not perfect. And that's kind of the premise of this podcast. As I said when we started, I don't edit them because it's not perfect.
Right.
And it's like, why not today? You just got to do the things and not expect everything to be exactly right. And you don't need to know all the steps, but put that dream and that vision in front of you. And, you just never know where it's you have it one way and it may manifest another way. A friend of mine last year, she talked about vision boards and was going through a rough time in her life. Her husband, who unfortunately did pass away, was fighting cancer. And she decided that she had to start living her life again. She couldn't be dying with him. And so she started running, and she put a vision board together. And one of the things was like a picture of a beautiful patio. Well, it was just something she liked. Well, lo and behold, she ended up getting that exact furniture, like online somewhere, or one of those free places. Like the whole thing manifested the way that she had it.
Wow.
It was on that vision board.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. It is funny to be able to look back at those things, or lists, like you're saying, like your bucket list and things like that. And be able to look back at those vision boards and bucket lists and look and say, wow, I did that. I can't believe that happened, or that worked out. It shows us how important it is to put it out there, and to be able to really see it and to believe it, because that is what faith is. It is seeing without believing without seeing. Believing without seeing. And so that is it's some faith, and but it's good, and it's good for you. Yes,
and it
it's
gives us
good for
energy.
others.
And just for them to see it, and they feel our energy.
Yes.
What was I going to say about that? No, I totally lost that thought.
Well, I was going to say, having two adult children, 23 and 19, it's a different world than it was when I was, in my 20s, and watching them, because of COVID and everything else, go through all these different kind of struggles, but helping them to just dream and say, if you could do anything, what would you do? Or going, well, I haven't done this, or my other friends have done this, and it's like, that's okay. This is your 20s. It's fun. What would you like to do? This is the time where you can do anything. You don't have any strings attached to you. So I think sometimes we forget that when we get in our 40s and 50s, and start to look at things and go, oh, we can't. We were limiting ourselves, and there's really no limitation. Like you said, those dishes, let's pull them out. Let's use them. Let's just enjoy things. Let's stop holding back and realize that we do not promise tomorrow or even next year. So let's live that and start walking that out. And vision boards are a way to really get that connection and that direction, something to focus on.
Yeah, I love that. And so I remember the thing I was going to mention, reticular activating system. Have you ever heard of that?
No. What is that?
RAS. So that's kind of like your bodyguard in your brain. We're looking for things. So you want to buy a new car, you want to buy a red Chevy. All of a sudden, everywhere you see a red Chevy.
Yes. Totally happened to me before. Yes.
Yeah. And so now a lot, you say things and it shows up in your phone and they tell you want it, but
Right.
paying attention to your word and
Yes.
find your one word. You see it everywhere. Just like when we mentioned being seen,
Yes.
that I saw that phrase everywhere. I am seen, I see you. And so once you kind of put them out there and you have that visual and you see it, even if you walk past a vision board and you don't
Right.
really pay attention to it, it's there. And your RAS is looking for those things and looking for ways to make it happen. And I can tell you many instances in my life that like like the Hawaii trip, like no way,
You're
but
right.
it
Right.
happened, and many times those things have happened. So just um yeah, dream. You got me motivated to want to dream again and I want to make my vision board. And I actually have a bulletin board I got one year that says dream on it. So I put everything.
Oh, sweet.
So, and then I also have taken and done a virtual version, a small one,
Yes.
and I do it created in Canva and print it out and have it in the front of notebooks and around my house. So I see it in front of me.
Yes, you can do on Canva. Pinterest is another great place to
Mhm.
do something where you've kind of got a board. Um, we were talking about that the other night at our workshop. Those are all great. Absolutely. Just make sure you print them out so that you can see them in front of you. Or a friend of mine said, she put hers as her screen for her phone. And so it was there every time she looked at her phone and opened up her phone. So that's smart too. Things
Yeah.
like that, that just
Put it on your
keep in mind.
refrigerator. I actually, one
Yes.
time for my team, I wrote affirmations for them and just with markers or crayons and put on pieces of paper and mailed them to them. And they put them inside their medicine cabinet, put it
Oh,
inside
sweet.
your pantry, the places you're in front of.
Yes.
I had somebody I was talking to about doing this. She's like, I'm not going to trash my house. I'm like, okay, you don't have to, and I've got
Right.
some of my things like what's behind me. It's a nice board. You can
Right.
frame it. But then you can also hide it in places so you see it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's all kinds of places. Um, my first year when I was, stepping out in a whole new direction, I even put words and things on in my car because I was in my
Hmm.
car for so long. I would put those things there. I had one little quote on my rear view mirror and it said, don't look back, or, when it's, don't look backwards, look forward. And you just little reminders like that every day,
Yep.
just to changing my focus and remembering what my goals are and what I want.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's important. And
So
it
many good nuggets.
it inspires others for sure. So
Yes. So I always ask, how would you encourage somebody else? I know we've talked a lot about this subject in general, but anything specific as a parting, like, okay, this is how I'd encourage somebody.
I would encourage someone to just go back and think about when they were a kid. What did you want to do? What did you see? What do you remember that you think, oh, I want that, or oh, I always wanted to do this, and write that down. Put it on your vision board. Dream again. It's important. You're important. You matter, and you are worth the time to sit down and dream again. Absolutely, I would encourage someone like that.
So, so true. Well, this has been fun, and I've been trying to get you on the podcast forever, and I'm glad
I
we finally
know.
found a subject that worked. So it was perfect
Yes.
with the intention. So I'm going to share all your contact information with people. What's the best way for somebody to find you?
I would say Facebook's the best way to find me.
Okay.
Andrea C.K. Plunkett. I'm on there, and I love conversation. Any way anybody wants to reach out, I'm all for it.
Okay. And you're tons of fun, and I'm grateful that you're in my life, and I've got to figure out a way to connect. So not only are you far away, but then we figured out, but we did make it work last time because when I
We
traveled,
did.
now I have a dog. And so we went to a cafe with accept dogs, which I am going that way in February. So we'll have
Oh,
to figure out
sweet.
a time to get together, or you know what, you're 3 hours away. I just could get in the car, or we could meet halfway,
Yes.
something
Yes,
like that.
halfway. Yes. Or I can make a trip too. That's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Road
So
trips are always fun.
that's
So,
right.
well, thank you for being a guest. And, if you're listening to Why Not Today podcast, we are moving to a weekly podcasts now. So there's going to be more subjects, more authors, more people. If you have somebody you know that's courageous and you want me to share, so I'm looking for courage stories, but also things to encourage and help other people. Please like, share, review the podcast. If you're looking for podcast swag, to remind you to say why not today. I've got t-shirts and cups and stickers. So we are starting a movement to encourage people to be courageous and say, why not today? So thank you, Miss Andrea, and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. And
Thank you.
loved having you as a guest. Bye.
Bye.